talks about being an employee. Being an employee means you're working for somebody, and then you are getting paid at the end of the month, right? It is regiment. It's defined. If you don't get a promotion, that salary is what you get, maybe for the next 2 years, 3 years. Then the second person on the left-hand side is the self-employed. So the difference between the first guy and the second guy is that you have just succeeded in, let me say, firing your boss, but you still created another job, right, where you are working for yourself, and which is where a lot of people get stuck. You know, when people are saying, I want to escape my employer, they get stuck in this second quadrant where they create a job for themselves. And that job is so limiting. So I've also been there before. So in 2013, I resigned my banking job because I felt I have so much in me that I wanted to give back to the world. I wanted to create a business. But I ended up creating a consulting business that did not even give me the freedom. So if somebody gives me, commissions me to do a job, I'm grounded for the next 3 weeks. I can't even take another job from another client until I'm done with that one. So I succeeded in creating a job. I'm not reporting to anybody. I'm not reporting to myself. But I succeeded in creating a job for myself. So that means my income was limited to one job per time. I didn't have a staff. I was me. I was the director. I was the finance guy. I was the one that sent mails. I was the one that do marketing. So when I do my marketing, my sales blast, when people start calling, I'm the one that is responding to calls. I created a job for myself. So that's the left-hand side. Does it pay? It pays. Because people pay for your service, right? The right-hand side of the quadrant talks about now moving to that side requires a different kind of mindset. And that mindset is the entrepreneurial mindset, where you now create structures and systems. You now create something that you can go on vacation for 3 months, and that system is still working. That is where you create a business. On the other side, you created something that looks like a business, but is around you as a person. That's not a business. You're just trading. That's like being a trader. You know, a trader on the road now, if she doesn't come tomorrow, you say, this woman, there's nobody to sell the market. She's a trader. But somebody that is doing business will probably have a sales assistant, have a call center, that if the MD is not around, people are picking calls and like, oh, what can we do for you today? A sales guy is going to close a sale in the market and all of that. So this other side is where we all want to be. Because the whole idea of financial literacy is to be able to create a system that can give you enough money for you to now say, now I want to build a legacy. I want to create wealth with it. So then the next one is the investor, who now looks at this, my brother, let's assume is my fashion designer. And this is a real life experience. Do you understand? So the guy that has been sewing for me for like 10 years, so walked up to me like 2 years ago and he said, sir, I want to expand my business. And I said, okay. I said, so what do you want to do? So he said, I want to get a showroom. I want to hire 5 more boys. I want to buy 3 more industrial machines, And I said, okay, go ahead now. And I said, I can't do it alone. I've been doing this thing for over 15 years. And I'm still me. Said, so that's why he disappoints at times, because he's the one making all the clothes. He's the one going to source for fabrics in the market. And I said, then build a business. He said, okay. So we sat down together. Thankfully, he's quite literate. So we developed his business plan together. And at the end of the day, he now said, I still can't do this alone. And I said, are you looking for investors? And I said, okay. I said, okay, what if I invest in your business? What are you offering me in return? Like, there has to be an exchange. Then we sat down, we started discussing how we can create a system where the two of us can come on board as partners. And I told him, I have a good network. The anytime I wear my clothes, my friends keep asking me, who is your tailor? Who is your designer? And I'm giving their numbers to you or yours to them, and they're contacting you and having more customer base. I said, so we can leverage on my own network, both home and abroad. I said, we can start shipping to the US. We can ship to Canada. Nice traditional attires. And the guy was like, okay. I said, that's what being a member of a business means. That means I'm an investor, not just my money, but I'm bringing my network into the business to create more wealth, to open up more doors, so that you and I, so you can now have 70% of 100 million, worth of business. I can also have a 30% of 100 million worth of business that will just succeed in creating something bigger than ourselves. So that is being an investor in a business. That is a level where you don't even need to show up operations. Your money is there, but at the same time, that business can leverage on your network, on your strength, where it can now fetch you money while you are sleeping. That at the end of the year, when the audit is done, oh, how much have we made this year? And there is, profit share and all of that. And you can do that. And you can also invest in through stock for publicly quoted companies where, on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, you can go through different platforms. I'm glad that my colleague from the, the investments angle is there. She'll tell you more about that. Let's go to the next slide. So in doing all of that, before you make progress, now that you now know that there are 4 quadrants, 4 areas where income can come from, it's also very important that you understand some other terminologies that can mar or make your financial plans. Right. Now that you know the sources of your income, either you get a job, you create a job for yourself, you do business, or you are an investor in somebody else's business, right? So now you need to understand the difference between assets and liability. One of the very first mistakes I made when I started making money was to buy a liability. And my liability was a car. Yes, it was like the best thing that happened to me at the time. But like 2 years down the line, I saw that it was the worst thing that happened to me because I spent more money to keep that car on the road. At that time, that was 2000 I think 8. It was a Honda baby boy, Honda Accord. At that time, it was a big boy. I was a big boy banker. Do you understand? But I was a junior banker. My salary at the time was 160,000 naira per month. And I bought a car that I was spending close to 65,000 naira repayment because I took a loan on it. So that's why I said it was the worst decision I made at the time because I was spending close to like over 1/3 of my salary trying to keep that car my own. That's apart from maintenance. I was a bachelor, so I didn't really have, and I didn't have people depending on me, right? But it looks like it was an asset because it was taking me from Festac to VI every day. Whether rain is falling or whether sun was shining, I was inside AC. So I bought that car out of frustration. One day, rain beat me at the bus stop. So I felt, man, and cars were passing. Nobody was stopping. I was like, no way. So it was out of bad vexation that I made it. But anyway, I discovered that it was a bad decision, bad financial decision. Because it was a second-hand car, even though it was a Tokumbo, I kept going to the mechanic almost every month to do 1 or 2 things. If it's not fuel pump today, it is water pump tomorrow, it is filter. And I'm like, okay, is this what my father was going through all that time? That he would just say, I'm coming, I'm going to the mechanic. I said, me too, I've started. At the end of the day, I sold that car actually. I paid off my loan and I came back to my senses. So it can be an asset, but what is an asset? An asset is anything that is generating income or putting money in your pocket. So if you see an Uber driver That car is an asset to an Uber driver. But to you, as a private individual, that car is not an asset. That car is a liability because you are spending money on it, but it's not generating income for you. So somebody can buy a house. In his books, the house is an asset. Why? Because it's getting rental income from the house. That is offsetting things like land use charge, property tax, whatever, yada, yada. And somebody else has bought a house, but is spending money on that house, right? Is incurring land use tax, is incurring every other thing, and that house is not generating an income for him. So you need to understand the difference between assets and liabilities. It's one of the foundational things that you need to understand in this financial literacy journey. If you understand that, then you'll be able to categorize properly in your personal balance sheet what your net worth is. Because on some side of your balance sheet, it can read as an asset. But if you took a loan to buy that asset,